Ready.
Good afternoon. Welcome to David T. Howard's Go meeting, where we will follow the agenda that has been emailed to you and publicly noted. I would like to remind everyone that this is a meeting of the Go team. Only members of the team may participate in the discussion. Any members of the public present here are required to observe. For members of the Go team, please identify yourself when you speak. I am pleased to call this meeting of the David T. Howard Go team to order at 4:50 p.m. First order of business is to call roll. Ms. Becker, can you please do that for us?
Happy to do that. Ms. Antone?
I am here.
All right. Mr. Abernathy?
Present.
Wendy Baker is present. Dr. Bryant?
Present.
Mr. Webb?
Present.
Ms. Reese?
Present.
Ms. Keenan?
Here.
And I'm still calling Janine Walker. Absent. And then Ms. Sheets.
Present.
Fantastic.
All right, Ms. Becker, do we have a quorum today?
Indeed, we do, sir.
Thank you very much. Next order of business is to approve the current agenda. That link was emailed to you. Let me know when I have a motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Ms. Sheets.
Ms. Sheets, do I have a second to that motion?
I second.
Ms. Dr. Bryant? It's been moved and second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, the current agenda is approved. Next is the approval of the previous minutes from our Go Team meeting, the Budget Go Team meeting on March the 15th. That link was emailed to you as well. Let me know if I have a motion to approve.
This is Audrey Reese. I move to approve the minutes.
All right, Ms. Reese, as a motion, do I have a second?
This is Mrs. Baker. I make a motion to second.
All right, then moved in second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, the minutes have been approved. All right, we don't have any current vacancies to fill, and we will move down past the discussion items to the principal's report. Ms. Antone, you have the floor.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Coach Abernathy. We just want to start by saying good afternoon to everyone. And we do have some special guests here today. And I hate to put you all on the spot, but I want to go ahead and take some time for you to introduce yourself. They are some of our newest Go Team members for the 22-23 school year. And we have Mr. Eric Goldberg, and we also have Ms. Allison Dorfler. Joining us again will be Dr. Regina Bryant, and then we also have Coach Rachel Dion as well. I don't think I see her on here, but if you can take just a moment just to introduce yourselves. I guess we can start with Mr. Goldberg.
Hi, Eric Goldberg. Glad to be part of the Go Team. I live in Inman Park. I have a sixth grader at DT Howard, Lucy, who will be a seventh grader soon, and a rising fifth grader who will be a sixth grader in the summer.
Thank you, and welcome, Mr. Goldberg. Ms. Dorfler.
Hey, sorry, mine with the computer, the camera is busted, so apologize. My name is Allison Dorfler, and I too live in Inman Park. And my daughter Jordan is in seventh grade. She'll be in eighth grade next year. And my son Harrison graduated last year from Howard and is at Midtown. And I've been on the PTO board for the past 3 years, and I'm now transitioning to focus on Go Team.
Welcome, Ms. Dorfler and Mr. Goldberg. And then also reintroducing Dr. Bryant. Dr. Bryant, you just want to say a couple of words?
Excuse me, I was muted. I'm sorry. I am Dr. Bryant. I teach French here at David T. Howard Middle. I have been with the community since 2005, and I have been reelected for the Go Team for this upcoming school year.
All right, thank you, Dr. Bryant. Welcome.
Welcome.
And Coach Rachel Dion is one of our health and PE coaches, works hand in hand with Coach Abernathy. She's been with, I can't remember the number of years she's been, but she's been with Inman/Howard for a few years now. And she will be a great asset to the Go Team as well. And we welcome her as well. So welcome to all of our new Go Team members for the upcoming school year. All right, so moving right along, do you want me to just move to the next topic there, Coach Abernathy?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, okay. So the next thing on the agenda is to review, I do believe, our MAP scores for this year. So I am going to project my screen. Do I have permission to do that, the rights to do that? Let's see. Yeah, I need permission to share.
Mr. Perry, you still there?
You have it. Yep,
Okay.
you have it, Ms. Anton.
Okay, and then Coach Abernathy, Ms. Jacoby said she's in the waiting room, so someone just needs to let her in.
Just let her in.
All right, thank you. All right, so I am also going to drop a link into the chat as well with this information. That way we can make sure that we add this to the actual meeting minutes. But this is basically math that I'm gonna go through first. Our MAP growth assessment is our new universal screener that replaced the STAR assessment that we done in the past. And so we do it in reading and math. We did it at the beginning of the school year, mid-year, like November, December, and then we did it again in March for the end of the year. And so as we look at math, the first thing that you see here, the bar graph there is Howard and the district data in terms of student growth goals. So for math and reading, I'm going to share growth goals and then look at proficiency and distinguished rates, percentages for our students compared to other schools. So the first thing you see is that Howard students were slightly more likely to have met or exceeded progress goals in math compared to the district as a whole. It's 5% versus 52% respectively. The 45% there in that red bar represents students who did not meet those growth goals. The light green would be proficient, and then the dark green would be distinguished. Okay. And then you see the district comparison right beneath. Okay. And then if you look at the data in blue on the left, where it says math subgroup differences in percent who met fall to spring growth goals, and the growth goals range anywhere between meeting 5 to 7% in terms of the student growth from the beginning to the end of the year. And so in math, somewhat fewer Black students at Howard met their growth goals than their Black district peers at 46% versus 50%. And out of 14 middle schools, we were the third highest school that met, that highest percentage of growth goals, that growth goal. Also, Hispanic students at Howard and other middle schools met growth goals at similar rates, 52% versus 53%. Students with disabilities at Howard and other district students with disabilities met growth goals at similar rates as well at 54%. And our EL students, our English language learners, were slightly less likely to meet growth goals than other EL district middle school students, 43% versus 49%.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, Ms. Antone. There's some feedback in the background. Can everyone make sure they're muted? And I know I'm having a little trouble hearing you, Ms. Antone. I don't know if the speaker if there's anything you can do to maybe get closer to the speaker. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, I'm right here in front of the speaker. I wonder if everyone can mute. Hopefully that does it.
That's better. It was just the mute issue, I think.
Okay, all righty. And then if you look at the data on the right, the difference between the data on the left and right is that on the left, that looks at growth goals. On the right, it gives you the differences in percentages of percent of students who were proficient or distinguished. Is combined actually. So remember when we're looking at that data, like on that the bar graph up there, that light green is proficient and the dark green is it would be distinguished. But when you look at that data for spring math proficiency and distinguished rates at Howard, they were higher than the district numbers, 56% compared to 22%. Our Black proficiency rates at Howard are higher than the Black district rate, 22% versus 10%. Our Hispanic proficiency rates at Howard are substantially higher than a Hispanic district rate at 39% versus 20%. The math proficiency rates for students with disabilities at Howard were higher than those in the district at 14% versus 5%. Our males were more likely than females to score proficient or distinguished at 59% versus 52%. And 78% of our white students at Howard were proficient or distinguished compared to 22% of our Black students. And this 56-point gap is slightly lower than the district 63-point gap. It's 73% versus 10%. And this is the math. So once again, on the left, the data represents growth goals. And then on the right, it represents percent of students at proficiency and distinguished. If you look at this next bar graph here, just gonna make it a little larger so you can see it there. It gives you a comparison of Howard and the district. And if you look at the window, if you look at Howard, for example, it's fall 2021, and then you see the spring data. And then it gives you the number of tests, overall that were taken there. And then not far off, so very, very close, when you're looking at the accuracy of your data. And then the district likewise at the bottom, if you can see that. And then you'll see that the numbers in terms of the students who scored in red, the beginning level, didn't change a whole lot. And that developing would be in yellow, students who are developing. And then the light green, once again, would be proficient. And then the dark green are students who score in a distinguished range. And so when you look at the trends, though, you look at the trends, whether you look at Howard or you look at the district data overall, the trends are very similar in terms of the changes, although the percent, they are different.
Ms. Antone, I have a question. This is Allison. Can you remind me what the 4 categories are? There's proficient, what are those again?
Yes, ma'am. The red, that indicates those students who score in the beginner level, okay? The yellow would be like developing, just like on the Georgia milestones. And then the light green you see would be proficient, and then dark green is distinguished. Okay. And then moving to reading, when you look at the reading data, when you look at that bar graph at the top, it compares growth goals from our school. You'll see here, I don't know if you can see my cursor here. Let's see. This is Howard, and then you see the district bar graph right below Howard's. Okay. And so Howard's spring proficiency, our students met or exceeded reading growth goals between fall and spring at greater rates than the district as a whole. It's 58% versus 51%. So you're basically adding the proficient and distinguished to get that 58% for Howard versus that 51% for the district. And once again, in the reading as well, out of those 14 schools, when you look at our data, we were the 3rd highest in terms of growth goals, percent of students meeting growth goals. Then when you look at the data here in the blue on the left, where it says reading subgroup differences in the percent who met fall to spring growth goals. Once again, this is showing you in terms of growth over the year. For our Howard students, you'll see overall, we had 58%, like I said, versus the district middle schools at 51% overall meeting the growth goals. And then our Black Howard students and district Black students met growth goals at rates similar at 50%. Our Hispanic Howard students met growth goals at greater rates than Hispanic district students at 55% versus 45% in reading. Our growth goal rates were similar for students with disabilities as SWD that you see there compared to district at 47% versus 42%. And our females were more likely than the males to meet growth goals at 61% versus 55%. The subgroup that was least likely to meet growth goals were our English language students, where you see EL, where they were 37% met growth goals compared to our Howard overall rate of 58%. When you look on the right side, that data in blue, this would be your data that shows the subgroup differences in the percent proficient or distinguished. And so Howard's spring proficiency rates are higher than the district middle school rates, 66% compared to 32%. Our Black proficiency rates at Howard's are greater than Blacks in the district, 36% versus 20%. Our Hispanic proficiency rates at Howard were greater than Hispanic students in the district at 52% versus 28%. Our students with disabilities have higher proficiency rates than the district at 20% versus 6%. 85% of our white students at Howard were proficient or distinguished compared to 36% of our Black students. And we have a 49-point gap between our Black and white students. It is lower than the district gap, which is 60, which is a 60-point gap. The subgroup that was least likely to meet proficiency goals were that of our EL students, where 13% met their goals compared to 66% of our overall proficiency rate at our school, although their proficiency rate is higher than the district EL proficiency rate at 7%. Okay. And then we have that same data, let me make it larger here. For reading, this just gives you the visual in terms of looking at the proficiency rates from fall to spring in the area of reading for Howard Middle School, which is the bars that you see on the top. You'll see the fall data, that very first bar graph with 14% of our students being in the beginning area, and then 21% of them scoring in the developing, 41% at proficient, and then 24% at distinguished. And you'll see that our distinguished category did increase there. And then from fall to spring, and then on the bottom, you see the comparison with the district data as well. Okay. And that is a summary of our map data from fall to spring. And I will go ahead and drop that link in the chat so that you can have that for the minutes.
Ms. Antone, I have a question. I know that, we changed from STAR to MAP, but are these numbers consistent, with, I guess, maybe 3 years ago before the pandemic?
So that is a really good question. Let's see, let me look back on the math, for example. So I know when looking at the Georgia milestones, I want to say, was it STAR Georgia milestones, and thinking about the math, the math in terms of a trend seemed to always lag behind the reading. And let's see, our overall in math was 56%, whereas in reading, our overall proficiency rate was 66%. So that trend seems about the same from STAR and Georgia Milestones. I would say not last year, as you know, last year was you didn't have much participation, but it would have been that last time we took it in 2019. So that trend is still the same. And in terms of even with the numbers, I want to say the last time back in 2019, we were at about 65%. It was either the STAR or the Georgia Milestones when we looked at reading with that overall as well. So with that trend, I do pick up on really quickly in terms of being right at the same. It seems like in the past as well, like the universal screeners like STAR, MAP, we just started this year, so I'm not exactly sure, that they may have been a little tougher than what the students experience on the milestones. And so this will be the first time, once we get all the scores in for the Georgia milestones, to do that comparison to see how did the prediction, how did that prediction play out in terms of being an indicator for the Georgia milestones as well. So that would definitely be something to look at.
Thank you.
So let me go ahead and drop that. Let me go ahead and drop that link in the chat for you. Copy.
While you do that, Miss Antona, I also have a question.
Okay.
So it seems like prior to in 19, as you kind of discussed, there's always been a disparity between the white and the Black students as far as the testing data. But of course, COVID probably had a lot to do with this. But can you tell me what you guys thinking is? Because it seems like a very big gap on the disparity between white and Black students. What happened and why there is such a much bigger disparity there, and thoughts on kind of mitigating that for upcoming school years?
Yes, ma'am. So I will tell you that is definitely, like you said, has been an area that we've been looking at as well as the district. It is actually one of the district goals to close the achievement gap between our, highest performing subgroups and our lowest performing subgroups. You're going to be looking at your Black students as compared to the white students, as well as our students with disabilities and our English language learner students. And so knowing that that is a goal for our district, and it has been a goal for the last couple of years, that is something. And then with the pandemic, I know you asked, has that played a part? Definitely, yes. I do know when we were in school and we were in virtual learning, many of our kids were learning remotely at home. And I can tell you just from, firsthand experience that many of our kids who struggle with, just showing up every day, there was a lot of absences and just being really strong in trying to make sure that we were calling parents, trying to get kids on every day. Some kids had issues with technology. So all of those things played a part. You're going to have kids who are at home by themselves. All of those things did play a part in that. But even before that as well, it was still a discrepancy in terms of the gap. And so I know that the district has created the intervention block for all schools, made it mandatory to help close that achievement gap. And that is definitely something that the district and all schools will be working hard on in terms of trying to close that gap. I know that our gap is not as great as the gap that we just discussed, in terms of the district data, but it's still a very significant gap.
Any thoughts on just Howard specific outside of that mandatory intervention block? Any thoughts and ideas of what you guys have as far as closing that gap? Because I know all the way from, my child has tracked from elementary to middle, but that's always kind of been a thing that is present. So I was just wondering if it's any innovative ideas you guys have thought about.
Yeah, so I do know that they will take this data and try to brainstorm, for next year in terms of what can be done to help close that gap. I know that the strategic plan is done as well. We have created the positions of instructional coaches as well in the area of reading and math. That's going to be a huge factor in making sure that teachers receive assistance and professional learning and hands-on assistance inside of the classroom to help with that. So I think that will play a major role in helping to close that gap as well. And so
I will also chime in that a lot of kids have issues getting to school on time. And so because our intervention block was from 9:15 to 10, there were a lot of children that just didn't get to those classes. Kids that I teach that did not go, they didn't come to me for an intervention, but I knew where they were supposed to be, and I would watch them getting here really late. So I fear that the kids that needed intervention often did not get the full, power of that immersive, like the Read 180 and the Math 180.
And that could be also something to look at in terms of when that particular intervention block is actually held as well.
I think that's a great suggestion, Ms. Baker. So I think, again, one of those economic issues for kids is getting to school, staying in school. It's a multi-layered thing, but we want to make sure if we have things to offer kids, they're able to not only just get there, they need the access to it. So it doesn't do them any good not to be able to access it. So thank you.
Thank you. All right. I put that link in the chat, Ms. Baker. You could include that in the meeting minutes. And then I'm going to move right to the next topic here, which was the accelerated math for 6/7th grade and algebra 1 for 8th grade. And so just an update on that. So accelerated math for 6th and 7th grade is definitely being offered during the 2022-23 school year, as well as the 8th grade algebra 1. And the district normally sends out guidance, and they've recently sent out guidance in terms of how students are placed and how those determining factors are actually should be used to place students. And so that is something that will be offered at Howard and all schools that have accelerated math and algebra 1 at their middle school levels. And I did speak with the district math coordinator as well. And she did say that the district is keeping accelerated math for 6th and 7th grade and algebra 1 exactly the same this year. The state did come out with, release some information in terms of a new pathway for 23-24. However, districts are now currently in talks about, changes, but they don't have anything definitive to share at this time. So like I said, it will be offered during the 22-23 school year. Okay. Also, the same holds true for our high school physical science. This is a course that students can qualify for when they are in the 8th grade based on criteria as they move out of 7th grade. And so high school physical science will be offered during the 22-23 school year as well. Students who take high school physical science receive a high school credit for that course, but it's not 20% of their grade. Algebra 1, you get high school credit for that, but it is 20% of their course grade. Okay.
So, Ms. Antone, thank you. There's been all sorts of confusion, I think, among the 7th grade class. Well, actually, in the current 8th grade class.
Mm-hmm.
I have received a question. We were told that the kids currently in 8th grade are not getting credit for high school physical science. So what you just said, that is not correct. That is not a correct statement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they don't get 20, it will not be 20% of their fourth grade, but they get high school credit for the high school physical science. So I, like I said, I will reach out to the district again. We can share something out with, we're actually sharing information with all seventh grade students, a letter to let parents know who qualify for the high school physical science, and we will include verbiage from the district in that letter to those parents, so they all have the same information.
Thank you. And so, yeah, I think the confusion, so it sounds like what you were saying is the milestones that the kids just took doesn't count for 20% of the high school physical science grade, but the kids are still getting high school credit.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. I'll try to clarify that as well, but people seem very confused about that. So thank you so much.
Okay, and we'll send out some verbiage with that when we send out the letter, letting parents know who qualify, who does not. And I think we did talk about Algebra 1 as well. And the next thing that was on the agenda was talk about high school physical science. So Mr. Brown was not able to attend today. And you asked about improvements, changes to Amplify for the upcoming school year. I know he is not here, but what I can tell you is that there have been meetings at the district level with district leadership, as well as I know all of the middle school principals, where we've had to identify challenges this year with Amplify implementation, actually. And it also goes all the way down to identifying, issues with just rollout, communication with parents on implementation, and how parents can even help students at home. So I do know that those meetings are being held. The district is identifying those challenges this year, like I said, with implementation, and also have started the process of doing root cause analysis with that information, and also connecting it to their end of the year goals so that they can plan for the upcoming year in terms of addressing Amplify and its implementation for reading and math, for ELA and math. So do know that the district is working on some solutions and making sure that all schools understand what that implementation should look like with fidelity, in addition to making sure that even like all the instructional coaches, administrators have a good understanding of what that should look like as well. So I do know that that is happening. Although I cannot speak for Mr. Brown, he may have some additional information to share. And I know he was a part of some of those meetings as well, because various meetings have taken place, planning sessions have taken place. So,
Ms. Santo,
yeah.
There was a meeting Thursday with Amplify staff and APS literacy coaches and teachers, just talking about this past year. And just the little bit that, I mean, it was only an hour long, so it wasn't super long. But I mean, right now they're still saying that next year we're expected to use it 90% of the time. Amplify has changed some things. They're changing some of the solos. They're changing a few other things, but APS isn't really changing how they're wanting us to use it.
Okay.
And Ms. Antone, I actually spoke to Mr. Brown today, and he gave me some other updates about Amplify as well. You know, what you mentioned, he said there's going to be training over the summer. And he said that there's going to be an emphasis to make sure that teachers are trained on how to use the Amplify curriculum on the computer, as well as the paper-based lessons of Amplify. So he said there's going to be an emphasis to make sure that Amplify is not administered only on the computer. But consistent with what Ms. Baker said, I haven't heard of any changes to Amplify per se. It's just going to be a focus on giving teachers additional training on Amplify. That's been my takeaway.
All right. Thank you for that, Ms. Keenan and Ms. Baker. The next thing on the agenda, I do believe, is status of new hires. There's been lots of new hires up to this point. However, when the new principal comes on, she will be a part of hiring key positions such as instructional coaches, assistant principals, and things of that nature. We've already hired the 6th grade counselor. But once the new principal arrives, she will take part in making sure that those selections are made. And that's pretty much all the information that Mr. Brown shared with that. And then in terms of an update on when the new principal will meet with staff in the community, I know that Mr. Brown is working on that, and he said that she should be here at some point in June, and that process will get started, but I do not have a specific date, as I know he wasn't able to attend today.
So, Ms. Antone, thank you. Mr. Brown also gave me an update on that, on the new principal. So he said that Ms. McDowell will be sending out a letter to the Howard community this week. So everyone in the Howard community should be getting a letter. And she is also going to host a meet and greet on Tuesday, May 31st from 2 to 4 at Howard. So we'll make sure, that I'm going to coordinate with the PTO to get that information out and those dates out. But he confirmed this morning. So again, a letter will be going out to the Howard community, and she will be hosting an in-person meet and greet at Howard on Tuesday, May 31st from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock.
All right. Okay. All right.
That time, Jennifer, is that time set in stone? It just doesn't really allow for working parents to participate, or will there be something else later?
That's what he gave me,
Okay.
and I think that's the start. I don't think it's the final, but
Sure.
That's what they have in place.
And Ms. Antone, I have 2 questions. Should I hold them for the end, or?
Oh, no, you go right ahead.
Okay, so one is related to the new staff hires. Is there space to have clarity and celebration and appreciation of any positions and people that are leaving, so that they don't just disappear into the wind? You don't have to necessarily call it out right now, but can we create space for that appreciation if that's happening and we know it's happening?
So you said create a space for people who are leaving, like a
if there are, or if there's clarity on who is leaving and not leaving. So, versus just people just disappear and then there's new people. I know it's the end of the year, so it's, potentially hard to do that, but I just meant for transition's sake, if there are positions that we know that are leaving, maybe it would be good to, doesn't have to announce it, but at least for Go Team and PTO to be aware.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
And the other thing is for the parking lot, but similar to what we do with the milestone, like the map growth, and I have what was it called? It was there was a social and emotional kind of assessment done. I don't know the formal name of it. I don't know if it was done twice this year or just once, but I received a report, and I didn't know if there can be some sort of a update on that kind of area of concern and growth in the student population, just given the fact that mental health is just almost as equally as important as academics right now.
Okay. Yes.
So those were 2 open-ended things. They don't necessarily need answers right now, but.
Okay. Yeah, you're talking about the BAS screener.
Yes.
That we did. We did it twice. Where the counselors, afterwards they meet with each of those students who scored in that intense level, where it was escalated, and reached out to parents as well to make sure that supports were in place. Yes. So we can definitely share an update on that data as well. We shared one update on the data, but I think it was during the the first time we did it. So maybe like a summary of what that looked like after the second administration as well. Okay.
I think it would be really helpful for that data for exiting 8th graders to just share an update about that as well.
And is that Miss
Ms. Walker.
Miss Walker? Say that one more time. I want to make sure I understood.
An update since some of the 8th graders are exiting to just have that information before their transition. I know we're at the end, but even if that's an email or, you know, some best tips and things like that for parents.
Yeah, and you're talking about the BAS screener, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now I know, and just for clarity, I know that the reports for the second administration were sent out and everything as well, and that same process took place. But are you speaking of the same data that Ms. Dorfler just mentioned?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Got it. Thank you. All right. That was the last topic there. And then the next thing we had was under announcements, Mr. Colby. I don't know if you want to talk about that in terms of new Go team members, training and orientation.
We are working on setting up the summer schedule and getting all of the new members into the learning platform. So we will be getting that out as soon as we can. It's that end of the year, you know, May sometimes is busier than December. So lots of boxes to check. But congratulations to all our new members.
Yeah. All right. Well, Coach Abernathy, that is all I have. And just once again, congratulations to all of our new Go team members. Welcome. And then also thank you to all of our Go team members overall for your contributions to the Go team this year and the time served as well. Thank you.
Ms. Antonio, is there time for a question or should I hold it?
I think it's fine.
Okay. So as a new Go team member, it would be helpful for me to get some history context on 8th grade accelerated math and why it's not being offered. There seems to be just anecdotally some confusion with parents.
So did you say 8th grade accelerated?
Yes.
So in 8th grade, what happens is, so accelerated math is only offered in 6th and 7th grade. In 6th grade, you take half, what is it? You take all of 6th grade math and half of 7th grade year. And then when you get to 7th grade, you take the rest of that 7th grade year and then all of 8th. And so by the time you get to 8th grade, you've done that accelerated math in 6th and 7th so that you are now able to do algebra 1 in 8th grade. So in 8th grade, there is not an accelerated math course. It's algebra 1.
So, and Eric, I can give a little more background because I had a daughter the year that it was changed. So the summer before the 2020-2021 school year, students received a letter indicating if they were going to be placed into accelerated 8th grade math or algebra 1. So accelerated 8th grade math was going to be 2 semesters of algebra 1, 1 semester of geometry. As the summer progressed and COVID progressed, those students who were told that they were going to be placed into 8th grade accelerated math were told 8th grade accelerated math is not going to be offered anymore. You will be placed into algebra 1 instead. And it was my understanding that that was a decision, a joint decision between both Midtown High School and Inman/Howard. And that other high schools in APS did not offer 8th grade accelerated math. So this was consistent with what other schools in APS were doing. So that change was made that school year to no longer offer 8th grade accelerated math. What the kids do have the option of in ninth grade, if they meet the criteria, whatever it is, a grade or something in Algebra 1, they can be eligible to take 2 math classes at Midtown High School in ninth grade. They can take Algebra 2 first semester, Geometry second semester, and that would put them on pace to take pre-calculus in 10th grade. So that really puts them where they would be if they had taken accelerated math in 8th grade and 9th grade.
So, Mr. Goldberg, does that give you the information needed? for class?
Yes, very helpful. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, Coach Abernathy.
All right, are there any other questions before we proceed? All right, Mr. Perry, do we have any word for any public comment?
No.
Okay, gotcha. All right, are there any other announcements?
I have an announcement. I just want to say to the incoming Go Team members, I wish you the best of luck, and I know that you will rock it. And good luck. This is a very special position, and I know if you're here and you apply for it, that you're going to do your very best to help our students. So thank you.
Thanks. Speaking of which, is there a schedule that we should be aware of, or is it kind of on hold till we do training and then next year?
So you would do your training over the summer.
Okay.
The Go Team office will reach out to you via email to let you know exactly when and where to do that. Once we get to the new school year, we will then reach out as far as when the Go Team will start for the new school year.
Okay.
And then we will have a meeting to where we would discuss the dates for next school year.
And whoever ends up being the secretary, I am happy to meet with you and tell you the tricks that I was taught about how to manage the secretarial duties.
We'll be definitely reaching out, Ms. Baker. All right, can I have a motion to adjourn?
This is Mrs. Baker. I make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Ms. Baker. Do I have a second?
Second, Joyce Sheets.
Second by Ms. Sheets. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, it's been a great year. Thank you everyone for your hard work throughout the year. Have a great summer. Looking forward to seeing everybody next year.
Thank
Thanks. Thanks.
Everybody,
Bye.
take care.
Thank you all for a great year.
Thanks.